As the calendar flips over to a new month, the clock continues to tick on the return of Florida Gators basketball. The UF men's team was back in the O-Dome for open practice earlier this afternoon. We'll have more on the main takeaways from today's action after the break.
You're watching WUFT TV News.
I'm Jack Meyer here with everything you need to know about what's going on in the wide world of sports today. We're starting off at the Stephen C. O'Connell Center, where the Florida Gators men's basketball team is already back for practice and looking better than ever before. Coming off a breakthrough campaign that saw the Gators finish with their best win-loss record since 2017, Florida still seemingly has nowhere to go but up. UF has numerous key contributors such as guards Walter Clayton Jr. and Will Richard set to return for the upcoming season alongside a loaded transfer portal class. Florida guard Denzel Aberdeen shared his enthusiasm for what the Gators should have in store for the new year.
I just think we're all more locked in this year, like knowing that we got knocked off first round, that's not what we wanted to do. We want to go further than what we did last year, so I think we're all more just locked in to key details like defensively, offensively, pushing the pace more, and then just playing defense harder, rebounding. And I think once we get all this together during practices for this next month, and I think in November we'll be pretty strong, coming out pretty strong.
Florida will kick off the new season in the Jacksonville Sports Foundation Invitational against USF on November 4th. Heading on over to Florida volleyball, the Gators fell 3 spots in the latest AVCA Division I rankings. This comes after UF dropped its SEC opener against the Kentucky Wildcats this past weekend. The now number 18 Gators previously defeated the Oklahoma Sooners on the road to open up their conference slate last Thursday. Florida will have some time off this week before returning to the hardwood this coming Sunday. UF will return to action at the Stephen C. O'Connell Center this weekend to host the number 7 Texas Longhorns. Staying put in the world of volleyball, tonight is chock full of high school action across North Florida as well. Leading off tonight, the Bell Bulldogs are set to travel to Mayo to take on the Lafayette Hornets at 6 p.m. Later in the evening, the Newberry Panthers will play host to the Dixie County Bears with first point set for 6:30 p.m. Finally, the Williston Red Devils will face off against the Bronson Eagles. That match will start at 7 p.m. Now let's flip over from the hardwood to the gridiron as the Florida Gators football team is gearing up for an interstate showdown with the UCF Knights this weekend. Coming off a bye week, Florida will look to pick up where it left off from a dominant win over Mississippi State 2 weeks ago. This time, however, the Gators will be hard-pressed in facing a blossoming UCF squad with one of the top rushing attacks in the country. Nevertheless, UF quarterback Graham Mertz has made it clear that the team will be ready for whatever comes its way this weekend.
They're talented. They got a good front. Secondary's fast. They play fast, and they play with each other. So I think the biggest thing when you look at a defense is if the front and the coverage really play off each other. So they do a good job of that, and it's a fun game to prep for.
Kickoff between the Gators and the Knights is currently set for 7:45 p.m. Heading on up to the pros, NFL fans were treated to some double Monday Night Football action yesterday. In a busy slate of action across the board, the Detroit Lions took home an electrifying victory against the Seattle Seahawks, while the Miami Dolphins flatlined against the Tennessee Titans. Starting off down in Miami, the Titans dominated the Dolphins in every way, shape, and form on Monday night. Titans running back Tony Pollard tallied 108 total yards from scrimmage and a touchdown, while kicker Nick Folk converted on all 5 of his field goal attempts on the night. Meanwhile, Lions quarterback Jared Goff had a career night against the Seahawks. The Detroit signal caller went 18 for 18 from the pocket, throwing for 292 yards and a pair of touchdowns en route to a 42-29 win over Seattle. And finally, MLB legend Pete Rose passed away at the age of 83 years old on Monday. Rose was a 3-time World Series champion who holds the MLB all-time record for career hits, but he has been controversially excluded from the Baseball Hall of Fame after admitting to gambling on his own games throughout his career.
Very sad to hear that, but thank you, Jack. And now in some other good news from Alachua County Fire Rescue, a calf was saved after falling into a sinkhole.
That's right. Fire rescue teams were dispatched to a sinkhole in Archer after receiving reports that a calf had fallen in. The sinkhole was nearly 20 feet deep. Crews were able to save the calf from the hole with no injuries to calf or crew.
Thank gosh. I mean, nobody's hurt, and the calf is still adorable, and just, wow, that's just like, it's good to see a story with an actual happy ending on here after just like all the depressing stuff every now and then.
No, I completely agree. What do you think, JC?
No, I gotta say, I'm just happy to see the calf is okay. It's just a precious animal, but now we're running out of time. So before we go, let's get one last good look at the weather.
So there is that area of development that we are looking at in the Western Caribbean that does have a 40% chance right now. We could see effects from that as we head into the weekend. That's why those rain chances are elevated on our Saturday through our Monday. If it does become a storm, it would be likely a weekend storm, and we're just hoping it doesn't become a storm. We're going to be keeping an eye on it, though. It does not hurt to be prepared. Those temperatures are going to drop this weekend, though, because of the rain. So at least that is some good news. We're getting a little bit of a break from the heat.
Thanks, Matthew. Thank you for joining us, too. We're back here tomorrow for another edition of First at 5.
But your North Central Florida news is always on at WUFT.org and on all of our social media platforms. Please have a good night.